Hey you guys, just a heads up, there are in-game spoilers and discussions of the game as a whole. If you haven't played the game and don't want spoilers, watch this at your own risk because I do include footage from my playthrough that I did here on YouTube and discussions on psychology, philosophy, all that kind of stuff. So just viewer discretion advised and enjoy the video. See you soon. Demon's Souls is a third-person action RPG that created an entire franchise and fanbase of sun-praising, fun-loving masochists. When we think of the Souls series, we think of games that are difficult yet fair, and depending on who you ask, Souls players are some of the most intense gamers around. Demon's Souls found a beautiful balance in difficulty, story, and character building that allows the player to have as easy or as difficult of a time as they deem fit. What's going on, you guys? It's your huggable hipster here, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be diving into my review of Demon's Souls. This game was so good, and I'm so happy that I could post a walkthrough for you guys. Well, not walkthrough, a playthrough. Those are two different things. I'm so happy I could post a playthrough for you and enjoy the chaoticness that this game really is. It has become my favorite Souls game of the Dark Souls series. It's what started it all, so let's get into this review. Demon's Souls is what started it all. The chaotic bosses, the ability to cheese any foe in your way, and the idea of getting good. Demon's Souls found a balance between manageable chaos and sincerity that makes the player come back for more even after dying a multitude of times. Through the chaos and through the sincerity, there is a genuine tale to be told of a game and soon-to-be games that will change how we look at what is difficult in games for years to come. When taking on Demon's Souls, I found myself in a space of ease and comfort, but let's be honest here, anything after Sekiro is a cakewalk in comparison. After going through all of the Souls games, including Bloodborne and Sekiro in less than a year, pat's back vigorously. This game made me feel right at home in its disturbingly beautiful landscapes, skeleton-covered worlds, and subjective storylines. I now see the start. I see the breath of life of what would become Bloodborne and Elden Ring. Demon's Souls, with its only real linear storyline, might I add, created an environment through world tendencies. With its only real linear story, might I add, it created an environment through world tendencies for me to thrive and find ease, or be bashed across the skull with passion. World tendencies might be the most meaningful way I have seen an approach to the karma system. We have Fallout's karma system that basically tells us, hey, if you're good, great. If you're bad, shame on you, but don't try to be anything else in between because that doesn't happen. When in fact, being human isn't all black and white. Being human has a lot of gray area mixed in with harsh realities and choices. And Souls allows you to be that perfectly imperfect soul. Each world can have its own tendency, and so can the character. It's all unique, just as the humans are. Now, throughout my journey with Demon's Souls, something very interesting and very important occurred to me. This remake was the only remake that From Software has ever done. I'm not talking about the remaster of Dark Souls, okay? That's not a remake. That's just a remaster where you basically can still see the pain. You can still see the bones. You can still see everything of what the original before the remaster really is. So I don't count that one. Demon's Souls Remastered did some vital quality of life things that just made this game a lot easier to go about. And just for clarity, no, I did not play the original that was on the PS3. I never got to play through that one. I never got to really experience it until I looked up footage for this review. It's why I really think that this game is the Resident Evil 1 remake of the Souls community, because when you look at this game and then you look at the original, it does the exact same thing, but better. It really does put it on par with how Resident Evil 1 was remade into. If you see the original director's cut versus what they did in 2002, it's almost identical in the effort and in the love that they put into this game. There were so many things that were improved upon of where, the way that you move in the world. From what I noticed in the original, it's almost like you're wading through water, whereas in the remake, you have a lot more ease, kind of like how it is in Bloodborne, where your movements are a lot faster and they keep a pace really nicely. Another really great quality of life thing is where you can actually just add your items to your storage unit. You don't need to go back to an Archstone to go back to the Nexus. You can just do it right from wherever you are, and I think that's a great quality of life update. Now just keep in mind, it will revert kind of to the old Souls ways, if you will. The moment you go over what your maximum item capacity is, or you're just to it, you will move a lot slower, you won't attack as fast, and you're basically going to look like you're a lifeguard from Baywatch. The DualSense of the PS5 really comes into play here when interacting with objects and characters, and it really goes very seamlessly in this game, like I've mentioned before. The other thing that made this game just fall in love with it more so than I already did was the abundance of items. I felt so well prepared. I felt so incredibly prepared for any boss battle, for any enemy interaction. Patches had just an enormous amount of health supplies you could get. Same with every other merchant that you come into contact with. Like, they are just so incredibly well stocked. Since this is the only Souls game where we truly get a linear story, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the psychological abundance in this game and what it has to offer. Even though it's more philosophical than psychological, the psychology in it deals with some pretty heavy ideas. You make the world what it is. You can be pure white and see the good and experience the good in everything you work towards. Being in pure black will make the bosses harder and the struggle that much more significant. If you make any area into a pure black area, it will be significantly harder. Learn from my mistakes. Do not have a pure black tendency in the Valley of Defilement. You will regret your choices forever. Coming from someone who made the pure black tendency in the Valley of Defilement, do not do it. You will regret everything. Although somehow the bosses aren't that difficult when they're in pure black tendency in the Valley of Defilement, just the area is a bitch to get through. You can also be in the middle with some worlds being black tendency and some being white tendency and some being neutral. This could be a theory for the soul, creating the balance of what a human is supposed to be, a yin and a yang, and a balance of good versus evil. Even the fact that we have patches first showing up in this game means that we already see how humans are manipulated and they will always be out for their own good, just as our character is out for theirs. Merchants will do things for us as long as we give them souls, as long as we give them a reason or an anchor point to go on. And some will even just treat us with such bitterness because they want to be left alone in a world that has seemed to have forgotten. Even poor Strava turned bitter by the cold hand life had dealt him, and his father succumbing to devouring too many souls to where his own soul and state of mind rotted into pure nothingness. You are what you consume mentally. People love and will fight for this series tooth and nail. We are the soul that is working towards a purpose and a goal. I feel that the bittersweetness of life is somewhat captured in this game through its chaotic beauty, manageable turmoil, and satisfying highs. But you guys, that was my review of Demon Souls. If you guys like this video and you like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below. I make videos every day here on YouTube. But may you find your worth in the waking world, dear hunter. Stay casually nerdy, and I will see you all in the next video. Umbasa.